The starship's engines hummed softly as I stood on the observation deck, staring out at the swirling nebula in the distance. My reflection in the glass showed a young man with silver hair and violet eyes, traits common among my people, the Zorons. But my expression was anything but common. It was one of dread, resignation, and a flicker of curiosity. My father, the High Chancellor of Zora Prime, had just delivered the news that would change my life forever. "Kael," he had said, his voice firm and unyielding, "it is time for you to marry. The alliance with Earth depends on it." "An alliance?" I had asked, my voice trembling. "With Earth? Father, they're barely a Class 3 civilization. They've only just begun to explore their own solar system. What could we possibly gain from such a union?" My father's gaze had been steely, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Their potential is vast, Kael. Their resilience, their creativity, these are traits we lack. And their women, they are said to be unlike any in the galaxy. You will marry one, and you will do so willingly." And so, here I was, preparing to meet my future bride, a human woman from Earth. I had seen holograms of her, of course. Her name was Elara, and she was different. Her skin was a warm brown, her hair a cascade of dark curls, and her eyes, those strange, round eyes, were a deep, earthy green. She was beautiful in a way I couldn't quite understand. But beauty wasn't the issue. The issue was that she was alien, and so was I to her. The day of the meeting arrived. I stood in the grand hall of the Zoran Palace, my ceremonial robes heavy on my shoulders. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and the soft glow of bioluminescent plants illuminated the room. My father stood beside me, his presence a constant reminder of the duty I was expected to fulfill. The door slid open, and she entered. Elara was dressed in a simple gown, its design a blend of Earth and Zoran styles. She walked with a grace that belied her nervousness, her eyes scanning the room before landing on me. For a moment, we simply stared at each other, two beings from different worlds, bound by fate neither of us had chosen. "Kael," my father said, breaking the silence, "this is Elara of Earth. Elara, this is my son, Kael." She inclined her head, a gesture of respect. "It's an honor to meet you," she said, her voice soft but steady. "The honor is mine," I replied, though the words felt hollow. I extended my hand, and she hesitated for a moment before placing hers in mine. Her skin was warm, her touch sending a strange, tingling sensation through me. The ceremony was brief, a formality to seal the alliance. We exchanged vows in both Zoran and English, our voices echoing in the vast hall. When it was over, we were officially wed, a Zoran prince and an Earth woman, united in the name of diplomacy. The days that followed were awkward, to say the least. Elara and I were given a suite in the palace, a space meant to be our home. But it felt more like a gilded cage. We moved around each other cautiously, like two wild animals unsure of whether to trust or flee. One evening, as we sat in the garden beneath the twin moons of Zora Prime, Elara broke the silence. "Do you hate me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I turned to her, surprised. "Hate you? No, I don't even know you." She nodded, her gaze fixed on the ground. "I don't hate you either. But this isn't what I imagined for my life." "Nor I admitted. But we are here now. Perhaps we can make the best of it." She looked up at me, her eyes searching mine. "Ow!" I hesitated, then reached out and took her hand. By getting to know each other, by learning to see past our differences. She smiled faintly, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. Over the next few weeks, we began to open up to each other. Elara told me about her life on Earth, her family, her dreams, her love of art and music. In turn, I shared stories of Zora Prime, our customs, and our history. We discovered that, despite our differences, we had much in common. Both of us had grown up under the weight of expectations. Both of us longed for freedom, and both of us were searching for a place where we truly belonged. One night, as we sat on a balcony watching the stars, Elara turned to me and said, "Do you think we could ever be more than just allies?" I looked at her, my heart pounding. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "I mean, could we ever be more than just a political arrangement? Could we ever love each other?" I was silent for a moment, then reached out and cupped her face in my hand. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I would like to try." Her eyes filled with tears, and she leaned into my touch. So would I. As the months passed, our bond grew stronger. We laughed together, cried together, and slowly but surely, we fell in love. It wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt, moments of frustration, but we persevered. And in doing so, we proved that love knows no boundaries, not even those of species or worlds. One day, as we stood hand in hand on the observation deck of the starship that had brought Elara to Zora Prime, I turned to her and said, "Do you remember the first time we met? How awkward it was." She laughed, to sound like music to my ears. "Of course I do. I was terrified. So was I admitted. But look at us now." She smiled, her eyes shining with love. "Look at us now. The alliance between Zora Prime and Earth flourished, thanks in no small part to our union. But more importantly, Elara and I found something neither of us had expected, a love that transcended the stars. And as we stood together, gazing out at the infinite expanse of the universe, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. For in the end, it wasn't about politics or alliances. It was about two souls finding each other in the vastness of space and choosing to build a life together. And that, I realized, was the greatest adventure of all.